Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission here is always the same. Take a complex topic, grab the most vital and surprising insights from a stack of sources, and give you the knowledge you need, fast and thoroughly.
Today we're tackling a really profound thought experiment. It's one that forces us to see just how deeply one particular species has woven itself into everything we are.
Absolutely. So I want you to just imagine this for a second. You wake up tomorrow morning, and every single dog on Earth has vanished.
Every single one.
From the tiniest Chihuahua to the biggest Great Dane, the service dog, the stray on the street, they're all just gone. Instantly, silently, without a trace.
And this isn't just a deep dive into loss. It's really an exploration of systemic interdependence. Dogs are so much more than companions. They are, an evolutionary partner, an economic engine, a pillar of our security.
It's a staggering idea.
It is. Our goal today is to explore the catastrophic consequences that would ripple out from that one event across emotional, ecological, scientific, and economic dimensions.
It really feels like the removal of a species that's become a biological extension of humanity itself.
That's a great way to put it. And we have to start with the most immediate impact. The immense personal vacuum and the emotional shockwave that would hit every corner of the globe at the same time.
Okay, so let's unpack that human element first. The partnership between us and dogs, Canis familiaris and Homo sapiens, it's incredibly ancient, right? We aren't just losing a pet we've had for a few generations.
That's the critical context here. Sources consistently point to a relationship that's at least 15,000 years old.
15,000.
And some research pushes that date even further back, deep into the Paleolithic. They literally evolved alongside us. They shaped how we hunted, how we survived, how our first settlements even developed. They helped us win the Ice Age.
So on that morning, millions and millions of people instantly lose the anchor of their daily routine. The sound of the collar jiggling in the morning, the happy greeting at the door, that constant, quiet presence of unconditional love.
The psychological fallout would be immediate and intense. We know from studies that just interacting with a dog releases oxytocin in the human brain. That's the bonding hormone.
Right.
Losing that consistent, reliable source of emotional regulation would cause massive global spikes in depression, anxiety, loneliness, stress. I mean, the loss is primal. It's a severing of a biological bond that's been a constant for millennia.
And for some people, it's so much more than that. I'm thinking about the silence in hospitals where therapy dogs visit, or, the veterans who rely on a trained dog just to feel grounded and safe from PTSD.
The sources are really clear on this.
Yeah.
The sudden disappearance of service and support animals would create an immediate, unmanageable crisis. These dogs aren't a luxury. They're core support systems for mobility, for hearing, for mental stability.
So their handlers are suddenly just adrift.
Instantly. Thousands of vulnerable people would face immediate relapse and dysfunction. It would demand an emergency response, mental health, and physical support on a scale that it doesn't exist.
It's devastating to think about that emotional side. But that tragedy scales up so quickly into a terrifying system failure. This is where it gets really interesting. What happens when the world's most versatile workforce just vanishes overnight?
You transition instantly from a collective emotional crisis to a functional breakdown of modern security and medical systems. Dogs aren't just pets. They're indispensable working partners in areas where our technology still fails.
So let's detail that immediate collapse. Guide dogs for the blind. Gone.
Gone. Hearing assistance dogs? Gone. And maybe most critically, the medical alert dogs. The ones that monitor their humans 247.
Right, the ones that can detect seizures or blood sugar changes.
Precisely. We lose the diabetic alert dogs that can warn of a critical blood sugar shift hours before a machine can. We lose seizure alert dogs and dogs trained to detect subtle heart rate anomalies. Their handlers suddenly have no warning when their body chemistry shifts into a danger zone.
And that failure of detection, that incredible biological sensor, it extends right into our emergency services.
Search and rescue operations, SAR, would be crippled. A trained canine team can clear and search, say, 40 acres of rough terrain in under an hour. It would take a team of humans days to do the same thing.
Wow.
Without them, response times in earthquakes, floods, avalanches, they'd slow to a crawl. And that delay, it translates directly into higher fatality rates, globally.
That loss of speed is staggering. But surely governments would be desperate. They'd pour billions into finding a technological replacement, right?
Oh, they would try, absolutely. But the sources we looked at are pretty clear on the current limits of AI and biosensors. The reason dogs are irreplaceable in these roles, from the military to airport security, is this unique combination of biology and cognitive ability.
Let's talk about the biology. We always hear that a dog's sense of smell is, 10,000 times stronger than ours. What does that actually mean?
It's not just about strength, it's the analysis. See, when we inhale, the air goes straight to our olfactory receptors. Dogs have two separate pathways for air, one for breathing and one just for olfaction. They can sniff and move at the same time. Plus, they have a specialized structure, the vomeronasal organ, that's dedicated solely to chemical communication. It's a whole other layer of sensing.
So their nose is basically an independent, super complex chemical analyzer.
Exactly. A 3D mapping sensor for smells. We can build a machine to detect one compound, like TNT, but a dog can detect trace amounts of incredibly complex composite odors, like the subtle chemical signature of stress, or a specific drug hidden inside a container, and then figure out the source and direction of that scent in real time, under pressure.
I know. No machine can do that.
No machine has successfully replicated that combination of sensitivity, mobility, and crucially, independent decision-making.
So if we broaden that out to global security, the removal of police canine units, airport detection dogs, military working dogs, our borders, our transportation systems, they all become vastly more vulnerable overnight.
It creates an immediate and massive security deficit. And, there's another thing that's often overlooked, the role of the regular household dog.
As a deterrent.
As a decentralized security network, studies show that just having a barking dog can decrease your risk of burglary by up to 70%.
70%. So the sudden removal of that audible alarm system leads to an instant measurable rise in home invasions and street crime.
Absolutely. The general sense of neighborhood safety just evaporates. Society would be forced into these huge spending increases on surveillance, on alarms, on more human police patrols, just to try and get back to the previous level of deterrence that was provided by, 4 legs and a set of lungs.
Let's shift gears now to the unexpected ecological fallout. When dogs vanish, the natural world doesn't wait for us to adapt. It fills the vacuum. And the consequences, they start small, but they escalate really quickly.
The first, most visible effect would be the rodent surge. We often think of cats, but domestic dogs, especially in urban and suburban areas, are significant natural predators of small pests.
So you remove tens of millions of dogs from the ecosystem.
And rats and mice flourish, completely unchecked, due to that reduced predator pressure.
And we all know what a rat surge means for cities.
It's a cascading problem. You get increased infestations, damage to food stores and infrastructure, contamination risks, and a huge surge in disease vectors. We're talking about diseases like leptospirosis, hantavirus, things that would directly impact agricultural stability and public health.
And outside the cities, in the wild.
The wild relatives step in. Wolves, coyotes, foxes. They start expanding their ranges into territories that dogs once occupied. Domestic dogs acted as a buffer at that human-wildland interface.
So you'd see more conflict.
A sharp increase and major spikes in livestock predation. It's a paradox, really. The dog, descended from the wolf, was our primary defense against its own wild relatives for thousands of years.
Now, let's consider the scientific and medical setback here.
Yeah.
The loss isn't just a slowdown. Entire fields of research would just stop.
It's a profound loss. Dogs are one of our most essential models for understanding human biology and behavior. We rely on them for behavioral studies, genetics, emotional bonding science, all because of that shared evolutionary history.
They're crucial for understanding things like aging and inherited disease.
Right. Exactly, because dogs share our environments and suffer from many of the same spontaneous diseases, cancer, heart issues. They're irreplaceable models in comparative medicine. We lose the ability to study disease progression in a complex mammal that lives right alongside us.
What about the research that uses their unique senses?
That entire avenue just vanishes.
Yeah.
We're talking specifically about cancer detection research, where some dogs have been proven to detect the subtle chemical compounds that indicate malignancies in humans long before our best imaging or blood tests can.
Whoa.
We lose our best and, frankly, our primary model for unlocking the secrets of biological sensing.
So if we connect all these threads, the emotional, the security, the ecological, the scientific, we're looking at a system shock that would cause a severe global economic crash.
The scope of that loss is huge. The global pet industry, driven mostly by dog's food, vet care, grooming, training, insurance, it represents hundreds of billions of dollars every year.
And that's not just disposable income. It's a whole dedicated sector of the economy.
Right. Its disappearance means the collapse of thousands of businesses, the instant unemployment of millions of people, from trainers to vets to manufacturers. It would throw global supply chains for specialized goods into complete chaos.
It's a shockwave that hits consumer spending, employment, and specialized medical fields all at once.
And there's another cost, a quieter one, but maybe more profound. The slow physiological deterioration of public health across the globe.
The health benefits.
The evidence is overwhelming. Dogs help lower our blood pressure, our stress hormones like cortisol. They reduce anxiety, improve sleep, and they force us to be physically active.
Without that daily, non-negotiable reason to go for a walk, or that immediate, non-judgmental source of stress relief.
The global population becomes measurably more sedentary, more isolated, and significantly more prone to cardiovascular disease and depression. The loss isn't just symbolic, it's a quantifiable physiological detriment that would impact public health budgets and, frankly, human longevity.
Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most profound loss of all, the break in the evolutionary bond. Humans have never lived as a species without the dog since the deepest ice age.
We lose our oldest partner. The species that helped us hunt, survive the cold, protect our first vulnerable settlements, they were fundamental to our expansion across the globe.
Yeah.
Losing that ancient shared history leaves a psychological vacancy that we just can't fathom.
So society, being adaptive, would eventually try to engineer solutions.
Absolutely. The sources suggest massive attempts to replace them. Robotic dogs for companionship, advanced AI for guidance, ultra-sensitive biosensors for detection. We would throw technology at the problem.
But the crucial point here is the failure of that technology. It can't replicate loyalty or intuition or emotional intelligence.
Because those are biological, not algorithmic. Dogs are irreplaceable because they are a biological, an emotional, and a functional extension of human society. They fill a niche in our neurochemistry that silicon just can't touch. They respond to us not because of programming, but because of 15,000 years of shared evolutionary success.
So to summarize this profound hypothetical, if dogs vanished, we would lose essential protectors, irreplaceable workers, dedicated research partners, our strongest emotional anchors, and our oldest evolutionary allies. The world would instantly become less secure, fundamentally less healthy, and drastically lonelier.
And the final provocative thought for you to carry forward is this. Dogs taught humans a form of dedicated, unconditional love and the necessity of shared survival. Without that ancient, constant relationship shaping our behavior and our empathy, how fundamentally would the character of humanity itself change over the next few generations?
A heavy but essential question about our own nature. Thank you for engaging in this deep dive with us.
It was our pleasure guiding you through the systemic consequences contained in the source material.
See you in the next video.